is a professional artist who has always been artistic and who has been taught the proper ways won't know how to do them, or won't choose to do them that way. So this is a really, really quick and easy way of doing it, and there are lots of cheats in here, and I am sure there are artists everywhere who are wincing. So what I've done, I've set up a still life over here. What I then did was I photographed it. Okay, so this is my photograph of my still life. Now I do that for two reasons. One, it means I can take it down because I have the photograph to work from, and it means I've got more space on my desk, or if you don't have a desk and you're working off the kitchen table, it means you can still lay the table for dinner without panicking that you're not going to be able to get everything back where it was meant to be in the first place. The second reason of doing it is much easier to work from a picture than it is from real life. Now what I would say is, if you can, leave your still life in place and try and work between the picture and the still life, because there is nothing that quite beats having the actual objects there in front of you. But if you can't, because you've got to lay the table, it's really not an issue. You now have your photograph. Okay? So that's my reason for doing it. And the other final reason is I am now going to draw all over this. So at this point I'm going to swing you round so that you can see what I'm doing. Now, we've not tried this setup before, so I'm hoping it'll work. I'm going to take a Sharpie. Everything in my mind in the world can be broken down into circles, squares and triangles. Now, these can be adapted. It can be a right angle triangle, it can be an equilateral triangle, it can be a rectangle, it can be an oval, but essentially they are your main shapes. And everything within that picture can be broken down into those shapes. So I take my picture, and I do this with students as well, so they can kind of see how my mind works, and I get them to draw over the picture. So that for me is a kind of circle, almost with a triangle on top. So I don't know if you can see that. It's a bit dark actually, isn't it? Right. This here, for me, this mug, is a rectangle with a triangle on the side and an oval on the top. So, if I bring it a little bit closer, can you see my lines there? Now, my jug at the back, and this is just how I view it. So I know my jug is going to come to about here, so I'm actually going to draw that line in. For me, again, my jug is a rectangle with two triangles at the side, and then the top of it is almost another triangle that overlaps my rectangle. Does that make sense? When it comes to the handle, instead of looking at the positive space, so the actual object, I'm actually going to look at the gap in the middle, which is how, but you're looking at the negative space, so the hole, because actually this is going to be really kind of, so what you've got is a triangle that almost comes down and then a semicircle on top, and then you can draw your handle in over the top of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this now and I'm going to transfer this onto a piece of white paper as a series of shapes rather than, so I'm going to draw that line in first just so I can get my rough idea. So I'm working on an easel. I have to say I'm not a big fan of easels, which I know as an artist is appalling, and I'm working one-handed because I'm having to prop because I don't have another easel to stick stuff on. Now I'm using an 8B pencil. That's because I like working with a really, really soft pencil. So the higher the B, the softer the pencil, the less hard you need to press to get sorry, that's my son, it's like a baby elephant going up and down the stairs. The less hard you need to press to get a mark. Okay, so I'm just going to draw my line for here across. So this is almost the back of my my ream of paper that I'm using as my table. And you can see it's just a muddle. It's not the most exciting composition. I just grabbed a load of stuff this morning. What I would say to you is, when you're first starting out, avoid glass. Anything that's transparent, so glass, plastic, anything, it can just be a bit of a nightmare. So I'm going to start with, I think I'm going to start with my big jug in the background actually, just because it will then give me an idea. So I know that my jug comes to about here. So I've said it's a rectangle in the middle, so I'm going to draw myself a rectangle. And I'm only pressing lightly, and if you look, I'm not holding my pencil right down at the tip. I'm holding my pencil towards the back end of it, because that way I can't press too hard. You can't apply that much pressure if you're holding it there. So if you move your hand back a bit along the pencil, it means you won't apply as much pressure, which means if you make a mistake, you can rub it out much easier. So I've done my rectangle here, and then I said that I had 2 triangles on each side that make up that shape. So I'm now going to draw in my triangles. Now bear in mind, this is all very rough. Okay, now I have a kind of funny shaped triangle on the top. I don't know what that is. I'm sure a mathematician out there will tell me what that is. But I'm going to say it comes to about here, and then it comes out, and then it goes up, and then it comes down a bit, doesn't it? So it's not perfect, but you get the idea. And if I look and I want to start getting really fancy, I can look at the fact that actually there's a little curve there and it comes down. So now I can start looking at the fact that, oh, it comes to there and then it actually comes down a bit. Right, but let's just get the basic shapes in first. I've got that one. Now I've got my milk jug, not my milk jug, what am I talking about? My sugar bowl. Now my sugar bowl hides the bottom, so I know that my sugar bowl has to go here, and that this back line actually is where the lid is. So I want my circle to come above my line. Now I've made it a circle, it should actually be an oval, but that's not a problem, so I'm just going to squat it down a bit. And then I've got a kind of curved triangle on the top. And then the lid is almost another triangle there. Okay, so that's my sugar bowl. Believe it or not, it's a sugar bowl. And then I've got my mug on the side, which again I've said we've got a rectangle with 2 small triangles on each side and then an oval at the top, because we can see that because we're looking down on it slightly. So we're going to have a rectangle about here, and it comes to the same level as the sugar bowl because it's standing at the same surface. I need to come across a bit, I think, actually. It's a larger mug than you expect, thinking about it. And then, yeah, it comes to about there. That's a big mug, I didn't realise. I must drink a lot of tea. And then it comes out, and I've got my little triangles on each side, little triangle on this side, and then on the top I've got this oval. So I've got the start of my still life, and I haven't done anything complicated. I've just drawn 2 rectangles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 triangles and a circle. And I've done it really lightly, and it's a mess. But that's okay, because now I can work into it. So at this point, I'm still going to keep this as reference, but I'm going to tuck it down so I can actually flap my hands around while I'm talking to you. But I've got this as well. I've got my actual still life. And this is where we can start to add detail in. So we can start to look at the fact that actually the bottom of the milk jug comes down and is almost curved around at the bottom and comes up, and then the lid curves. So it's tempting to draw a straight line, but because it's a round shape, it's a 3-dimensional object, we're going to go round like that. And if you look, actually it's got a little bit of a lip that comes out, so it sticks out a bit. And this is the thing with observational drawing, and the key is, they say you should spend, if you're doing observational drawing, so if you're drawing something in front of you, you should spend 5 seconds looking at the object, 2 seconds drawing. 5 seconds looking, 2 seconds drawing. Because often we make the mistake of drawing what we think is there, not what is actually there. So it's about, yeah, looking and seeing that actually this is a curve up into this shape. Now I'm not going to make you sit here while I draw this whole thing, because you've got the idea. And oh, see that and I can't talk and draw at the same time. I tend to shut down. At the same time, my husband's happy because I stopped talking. So go away, have a go. It's not going to be perfect. I wouldn't expect it to be perfect. This is far from perfect, but I'm going to work into this. And then tomorrow we're going to have a look at how you can add form, so how you can make these look three-dimensional, with adding shading. And I'm going to give you some hints and tips there as well. So that's how to use basic shapes to create everything you want to draw. Really can be broken down into basic shapes. It's about being able to see the shapes within the form. Okay, so I will see you tomorrow for shading. Okay, bye.